We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming events here at Capital OTV. Gulfstream Park, the championship meet, running now through Florida Derby weekend, March 31st. Broadcasting live from the Capital OTV studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
All right, all set. All right, 3, 2, 1, and mic me.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. I am Seth Merrow. As usual on Sunday morning, we'll do some stakes recaps. Part of that stakes recap, we had a nice day at Laurel yesterday. We'll be joined by our friend Fran Vespe. He always does a great job catching up with the connections and whatnot of winners at Laurel and giving us some good color on some of their results. And they've done with George Barbara Fritchie, a couple other stakes there. So we'll have Fran Vespe in a little while to take a look at those Laurel stakes. I'm going to kick things off with Fair Grounds and Aqueduct with nice stakes action yesterday. And then towards the end of the program, we'll be joined by Matt Dinerman, the Oaklawn Park announcer. And I've had in the back of my mind Matt the entire season, but I wanted him to get into it a little bit, to hear a little bit about his first season down at Oaklawn, and maybe we'll take a look at some of the action at Oaklawn for this afternoon and more. So all of that coming up. Let me first alert you to some of the things to be aware of today. There's a mandatory payout in the pick six at Golden Gate, according to the Racing Forum. So if you're a pick six playing like those mandatories, Golden Gate this afternoon, take a look at that. Kentucky Derby Future Pool is going this weekend. That'll close at 6 o'clock. I was just looking at yesterday's results. Interesting. Sierra Leone 5-1 as the favorite at this point, and pretty substantially. Even with all others, who at 5-1, I think looks okay. Even at this stage, I think all others at 5-1 is attractive. Track Phantom 21-1, Lock 16-1, Knightsbridge Belmont Runners 19-1, 15-1 on Fierceness, 12-1 on Doorknock. So there are your shortest prices. But as I say, you don't want to save the digits. After yesterday, we'll look at it. Sierra Leone at 5-1. So again, Kentucky Derby Future Pool closes at 6 o'clock this evening. And also this evening, the Sunland Derby, Sunland Park Derby, grade 3 event, $400,000. Looks like a fun little field, so keep that in mind for later. They also have the Sunland Oaks, some other stakes on their card. The Sunland Park Derby, though. Curlin's Chaos looks interesting, coming in from Southern California. Lucky Jeremy, a Bill Morey runner who came over to Sunland and won a stake leading into this to get a little fry over the track. Stronghold for Phil D'Amato comes in from Southern California. And of course, Steve Asmussen with a runner, Informed Patriot, who looks like a player coming out of a third, and Smarty Jones over at Oaklawn. Sunland Park Oaks, field of 6 in there, and that was interesting. Windshield Thoroughbreds and Asmussen have Recharge, who comes in with a 2-2 record. So again, that's a little bit later today. Mandatory pick 6 at Golden Gate. Kentucky Derby Future Wager closes at 6, and Sunland Derby and Oaks also on the agenda for today. So keep that in mind. All right, let's get to it, because big show here, and lots of stakes action from yesterday to take a look at. And we will jump in. We'll jump in with obviously the highlight yesterday was that card at Fair Grounds, and the highlight on that card was, of course, the Risen Star. So let's start with that. I took a little pop in here with Hall of Fame, and I tell you what, around the turn, I thought number 7 Hall of Fame might live up to, as I said yesterday, you pay over $1 million and you name a horse Hall of Fame, you've got some high hopes, and seemed to indicate that's going to be the case with the maiden breaker in the second career start. This obviously became a little saltier, but Hall of Fame seemed to make a move on the turn, and I think was going to be a little bit interesting. And then at 72 could not sustain. Hall of Fame, again, is kind of on the outside there and will fade a little bit. But coming up late as the 5-2 favorite, a little surprised there, Sierra Leone for Chad Brown under Tyler Gaffney-Young is going to wind up winning the number 4 horse, Track Phantom, who has been so good on the early Fair Grounds trail. The number 11 winds up second, Catching Freedom winds up third in there. But as you saw, by half a length, it was Sierra Leone. Chad Brown, Magner Faber. Again, same connections with Hall of Fame, but Sierra Leone had a little bit more experience, having just gotten beaten last fall in the Remsen. Was on the sidelines, went way to the back in that Remsen and really had to run. So after yesterday's race, Chad was saying he was experimenting with blinkers and whatnot to get the horse a little more into the race. Tyler Gaffney said the blinkers that were chosen seemed to work out okay. This Sierra Leone was a $2.3 million purchase right up to North Lake. Basic trip in August of 2022. Again, career debut winner at Aqueduct last November. Then in December, just misses behind Dornock in the Remsen, which is turning out to be a nice little race, it seems like, and follows it up in the 3-year-old debut. I haven't seen a number yet. It was interesting to see on with the track yesterday. And it was interesting, I read one of the articles. It really didn't rain after about 9 o'clock, according to what I read. But it was just the weather was such that the track never dried out, stayed. As you can see, that last race was run in the dark. After 6 their time, was after 7 our time. They had a full day, but the track just never came around. Again, it was one of those where you don't get sun or breeze or anything. So off-going, as they say, that really played into the number. Interesting also in the article, Chad Brown, more of an East Coast-based guy, a little Florida in the wintertime, and obviously New York in the summer, and racing in Kentucky a little bit more and more. But according to the article I read, it was only the second Fair Grounds win for Chad Brown, so that was a little bit intriguing. But nice win. The Fair Grounds trail has been productive in the Kentucky Derby. Seemed like the follow-up article I read, next up, not the Louisiana Derby, but maybe more likely the Bluegrass or Sierra Leone. We'll see what Track Phantom moves toward. And I'm going to be interested to see Hall of Fame. I do think that's a talented runner. And as I say, around the turn, I thought, but that's a salty spot for the first start after the maiden breaker. So we'll see what happens with Track Phantom. Track Phantom, or excuse me, with Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame wound up 7th in the field. But again, let's move on the turn. Looks like we're a good player here. And we'll just stay a little bit late. But a nice performance. Career start number 3 for the winner, Sierra Leone. So, as I said, nice enough that the future pool wagers made Sierra Leone the 5-1 single choice favorite there, single entry favorite, along with the 5-1 on all others as well. 5-1 in February seems a little slim in the future pool. Again, with the big 20 horse field, you wonder how much of a advantage that would give you starting into the first Saturday in May anyway, and this day, like I said, really you definitely want more value. Also on the card yesterday, Rachel Alexandra, the risen star for the 3-year-old boys, the Rachel Alexandra for the 3-year-old girls. We had Brendan Walsh on yesterday talking about Intricate making her 3-year-old debut. I thought she ran well. Intricate went off as the 8-5 favorite. Intricate's going to be the number 4 horse and get up to be pretty clear second. But Tarifa got the jump under Flavian Pratt for Brad Cox in the Godolphin, and Tarifa is going to get it done. But again, you can see on the outside there, um, Intricate makes it a late run. It's just strategically got the chasing role behind Tarifa, who made the first move between those two. Tarifa, certainly talented, came in with 3 starts and a couple of wins, a maiden breaker and an optional claiming win, and then steps in the stage company yesterday and gets it done. So she's a 3-year-old filly to watch. But again, in the 3-year-old debut, and from talking to Brendan, if you listened to the show yesterday, I would guess he probably comes out of that satisfied. The first start of the 3-year-old season, added some points to the total, which I would think would be enough to guarantee just into the Kentucky Oaks. Um, Another start certainly likely for Intricate and Bill's at this first start. So I'm sure he's satisfied with what he saw. And certainly the folks with Tarifa were very satisfied with her state debut. And I think both of those, as I said, worth watching going forward on the 3-year-old things side of things. Also, stakes action yesterday. On the grass, again, they had a couple of races yesterday taken off the grass, a couple of races that stayed on the grass later in the day. This was one of them. The turf was labeled as soft. I like Beatbox in here for Cherie DeVoe. Beatbox goes off at 9-2, and yes, gets up. Beatbox is going to be the number 10 horse. Strong Quality is the number 3. They had finished 1-2 in the Colonel Bradley last time out, with Strong Quality getting the best of Beatbox. But again, number 10 Beatbox over number 3 Strong Quality switches up the result by a neck yesterday. Johnny's Fireball is the number 1. You can see here has the lead for a moment. That was the Joe Christopher partnership, Brilliant Racing. And like I said, on Beatbox, but I was kind of root for Joe's horse because I was like root for friends of the show and whatnot, and it was a nice performance from Johnny's Fireball, who again is owned in part by Joe Christopher's Brilliant Racing Partnership, played by Norm Cassie. But it was Cherie DeVoe, Joel Rosario, and Beatbox getting it done, switching those results on Strong Quality from last time. Good performance by both of them, by all 3 of them. Chart margins neck and neck. First and second to third. So Beatbox, Strong Quality, Johnny's Fireball all ran very well. But as I say, I like Beatbox and very happy to get the $11 and change there as we went up the tip from the morning line. So this performance in the Fairgrounds Stakes and the self-named. That was the Fairgrounds Stakes at the Fairgrounds. Also on the card yesterday, it was the Mind Chef for the older runners. I was taking a little shot in here with Smile Happy and knew I was rolling the dice a little bit off of the last couple of performances. But Smile Happy attended 2 course last May had run so well in the Alley Chiba and Churchill with a 110 buyer. And I used Smile Happy last time and just clumped in Louisiana back in January. But I wanted to take another shot. I'm going to get a little more value. We did. Smile Happy went off at 5-1. But Smile Happy, the number 9 horse, never really threatens and winds up running 5th yesterday. The winner is going to be number 7, Money Supply. They were cross-entered in another state on the card. They were cross-entered in that Fairgrounds on the turf. But and I wondered if they would let there if it was off the turf. But because I'm sure they wanted to run on the dirt, and they got it here. And so Money Supply is going to get it done. Chart margin is going to be a neck over Best Actor, who was coming in for Brad Cox, Gary, and Mary West off a couple of nice wins to end the season last year. And they've shown plenty of promise. And again, with a net victory, both of these horses kind of give themselves as interesting players this year in that older division. Money Supply comes in with a 4-race win streak and won 5 of the last 6. But stakes debut yesterday and gets it done. Where our trainer Joe Sharp kind of got on board. But again, in the seasonal debut as a 5-year-old best actor was pretty good also. Pretty lately raced for a 5-year-old best actor that was only the 10th career start. So as I say, I thought both of those ran well enough to pay a little bit closer. Gasoline third, Red Route 1, 4 in there. The Albert Stahl Memorial, another one that stuck on the grass yesterday. It's going to be, of course, I had down at the bottom of my mix, but a fun result. It's going to be number 5, Spirit and Glory, getting it done. 3-1 over crying my heart out at 23-1, the 2 horse, and Watch This Birdie, the 1 runs third. Creative Cairo, the 5-2 favorite, the 3 horse, runs fourth in here. But again, kind of a fun result with the number 5 Spirit and Glory, being brought on board because it's Raphael Cohn, New York-based guy. Brought this one over from Palm Meadows to take a little pop in the stake at the Fair Grounds and gets it done in the outstall. Spirit and Glory paid $8, took a little bit of action, and this was one of those horses, Raphael Cohn. It was kind of slow up at Saratoga last summer. Eventually got a couple of wins. He got some wins towards the end of the meet. I think I brought him luck. Towards the end of the meet, I was walking over to the front side one day from our trailer, and he stopped by and gave me a ride. And I think it was the same day he had gotten one of his first winners at the meet. It was towards the end, though. But he had a good meet down in Monmouth in the summer, and this is one of those horses. Had won early in the summer down at Monmouth in the stakes race. The last start, they shipped out to Delamont last start of the season last year in August, and we had a close-up second in the Yellow Ribbon. So it's coming back from a pretty good layoff. That was a nice performance off an August layoff. So Raphael Cohn with a nice little turf runner on the female side from Spirit and Glory getting done yesterday. And finally, the Colonel Power. This one was off the turf, a lone stake taken off the turf. But I said I was sticking with my pick, turf or dirt. Just Might, really fun horse. Just Might, a millionaire, and part of it earns sprinting on the dirt, and part of it earns sprinting on the turf. Sasua Summer was won the Kenner on the turf, was likely the horse that was going to make it exciting with Just Might on the turf, but Sasua Summer, the Bill Lockwood scratched with the surface thing. Just Might stays in. Just Might's the number 4 horse. What else is the second choice? The betting public got it right. Minnesota Ready for Tommy Amos. Coming up a close-up third, was right in the mix in that tenor, which is Sasua Summer and Just Might. But on the move to the dirt, and there was some dirt form underneath. I had Minnesota Ready in my mix on dirt. And Minnesota Ready, number 3 here, getting Just Might. We saw as they came into the stretch, Just Might had the lead. But you could see Minnesota Ready was getting the momentum, and sure enough, the momentum moves Just Might forward, or moves Minnesota Ready just forward to win. Chart margin winds up to be 3.5. Just Might is well clear of third place horse. So again, another nice run from the millionaire Just Might. But Minnesota Ready proved a little bit better yesterday and appreciated, obviously, the surface switch. And again, the betting public got it right there. $4.60 as the 6-5 favorite, whereas Just Might was 9-5. I was a little bit surprised by that. Public, All right, also yesterday at Aqueduct, we had a couple of stakes races. The Broadway. I like Majestic Return in here, and I didn't get anything out of that one. 6 in the field of 7. But in my mix was Security Code. Security Code runs really well. It's a gutsy performance. And Becky Valentine ran well also. Becky Valentine, who had that really nice 2-year-old season, everybody lived up to it subsequently, has won well in spots. And overall, it's always competitive. But Becky Valentine, the 5 foot, just lines up a little short yesterday as security code, as they say. Jose Castellano, Phil Surfy gets it done, security code. Number 7 horse, you can see they're both pushing by here. The number 6 can't really love, and it gets to be net. I don't know whether you ever worried as the momentum was kind of carrying security code to the victory at $13 and change. But Becky Valentine did make it close, as I said, winds up to be a net. So nice little addition of the Broadway, and a little bit earlier on the card, it was a Ruthless. And this one's worth watching because this may be a horse to watch going forward a little bit. What is this a horse we'll see in the test? I don't know, but it's a nice little 3-year-old filly sprinter. Helena's Forte in the Ruthless yesterday, number 4 horse, goes off as a 2-to-1 favorite. She came in for Phil Bauer, won the debut nicely, then played a stakes race last November, Churchill being second, and then went down to the Fair Grounds to end the season running second in the stakes race. And Phil Bauer elects to send her up from training down to Churchill training track most recently, and it was a great decision. It's Alina's Forte now 4 starts, couple of wins, couple of second place finishes, including a nice win yesterday, daylight win, length and 3/4. Dahlia Princess for Brad Cox, and only her second career start. She may be worth watching going forward too, because you get a right in the race, so a couple of runners there. But Alina's Forte, they say, again, I didn't see a number yet, so I'm not sure, but it was a nice enough performance. But then, like I said, this would be a 3-year-old sprinting filly to watch going forward. And I didn't see any follow-up on what might be next, but it wouldn't be a shock to see potentially catch in summertime, but that's far enough away, and she's still a little bit undefined enough to know whether that will wind up happening, but it'll be worth watching going forward. All right, let's take a break, and when we come back, we will be joined by our friend Fran Vespe. We're taking some of that Laurel action from yesterday. General is doing Harvard Racing and more. All of that when Racing Across America continues.
You're clear.
Hello?
Hey, Frank, good morning. It's Seth.
Hey, Seth, what's happening?
Not too much. How's it going?
Yeah, pretty good. Good.
I got us working backwards from the General George. And just as a heads up, I got Matt Dinerman from Oaklawn kind of warning us. So,
Okay.
Get the better part of 20 minutes, so it should be fine.
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me on.
No, happy to have you on. I was trying to get Dinerman last week, and then I mixed up. He's an hour different. I gave him kind of a bad, so we mixed up. So I said last week we'll have you next week. So I was automatically having instant. Otherwise, when I sit in on Saturday, I would have plugged you in automatically. So I'm glad you said that, because I was just in my mind, I was already like, oh, the show's set.
Yeah, I was, I talked to John Piazza, he's like, oh yeah, it's on, Capital TV.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I haven't heard from stuff.
Yeah. When you fixed it, I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm glad you did. All right, here we go. Here we go.
All right, all set?
Yeah.
All right. All right, and 3, 2, 1, and let's go.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Again, always like to take a look at some of the nice stakes action from yesterday. Certainly that big day at Fair Grounds is worth taking a look at. But it's a big day down in Maryland, where really throughout the winter they had a lot of nice stakes days. And yesterday was one of them. Barbara Fritchie is always one of the highlights on the Maryland calendar. So who better to go through some of the Maryland action with than our friend Fran Vespe from the RacingBiz.com. Frank, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Good to join you today.
Yeah, yesterday, John Piasek on, and I know he did selections for the RacingBiz.com, and we went over some of the stakes action with him yesterday. And as I say, if I was with you, I think that's fair to say. If I was pushing one of the highlights on the calendar down in Maryland for the whole year, right?
Yeah, I mean, this day is kind of the winter highlight for Maryland because we've got the Fritchie and the General George on the same day now, and those are the two graded races we have up until Preakness time. So,
All right, let's jump in because the General George, we mentioned it yesterday, and I said it was kind of one of those races where it, maybe you're not going to make a lot of money betting, but it'll just be fun to watch. Post time for Brittany Russell came into yesterday, 6 wins and 7 career starts. I said, though, I thought Nimitz class, it didn't run well in the Pegasus for George Lever, but they elected to return to Maryland, where Nimitz class has run well before. I thought might add a little juice and make it a little bit more fun, and it turned out necessarily vis-a-vis a Nimitz class, but living up to the hype and the 30 cents of the dollar odds. We'll watch the stretch run here. It is number 3 post time. Brittany Russell with her husband Sheldon on board, running second is 7-11. Tenebris for 7 runs third. And then this class disappoints a little bit as the second choice is 4-1, running fourth. But boy, post time. And John yesterday said maybe look for this one coming up Met Mile or whatnot. I don't know if that's going to be the game plan or not, but certainly with a 7-for-8 record, they have to step out of the comfort zone at some point, you would think. So give us your thoughts yesterday, General George and post time.
well, it's important to understand, John, I think, is president of the Post Time Fan Club. He just loves the tours. And, obviously it was a big day for Brittany and Sheldon. They won this race. They also won the Fritchie, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I think you're exactly right. This is a horse. He's done what he can do locally. They're going to have to go hunting bigger fish with him. To make some metaphors there. Talking with Brittany and Mrs. Charles, who owns the horse afterwards, they were playing it coy, but they're certainly going to look at some of the bigger races that are coming up. And with the way this race developed, I mean, 7-11 gets to a very slow pace for the distance. They were 23-4 for the opening quarter. And post time still just runs right past them, no problem. And so, and 7-11, he's a real racehorse. He's not really a great stakes animal, but he's a legitimate horse. And so, pretty impressive effort from both sides. I think, hopefully they can keep them together. Hopefully they can get where they want to get them. And I think he has to start looking at some bigger races. So I'll be excited to see where they turn up to next.
Yeah, again, it's just fun to watch. Like you say, you're not making a lot of money at $2.60, but it's always fun to see performances like that and hope that it bodes well for going forward. But I'm also looking to this horse up in auction for $85,000 and yesterday over $300,000 now in earnings. So pretty good auction purchase.
Yeah, and I think, Mrs. Charles and Hillwood Stable, I just put a huge amount of money into this game, and she's got a couple of pretty nice horses. She had Coordinator who made $1 million. She had Bandbox who won the General George. It's nice to see her rewarded for how much she stood by the game, including some, fairly lean years. And talking to her afterwards, she kind of got this sort of conspiratorial tone in her voice, and she said, well, I had, our wonderful Coordinator, and I had Bandbox. This one might be the best one. So I'm happy to see her maybe getting a chance at doing something pretty cool with this horse. I think they're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch that one going forward. And John Piasek will be, working for the Maryland breeders. As a Maryland bred, of course he's ahead of the fan club.
He definitely is.
They might ban him from work if he wasn't. All right, let's take a look at the Barbara Fritchie Grade 3 event a little earlier on the card for the ladies, going $200,000 up for grabs. And when we were talking yesterday, I mentioned Apple Picker coming out of a couple of stakes prize, pretty good stakes prize for Brittany Russell, who, when she kind of made her name on the scene, Senate correcting some of these type of owners. Apple Picker in the yellow and pink for Mike Dove. Brittany Russell also has some Mike Foley runners now, so it's just interesting to see how she has progressed. And Apple Picker really get it done at 5-1. States a little bit of a price again. It's Brittany and Sheldon Russell and Mike Dove. Apple Picker, the 5 wins. Last week, the 1 won second at long price Prodigy Dial, who I said yesterday, and I haven't circled and I talked about this one with John. I said, at a price off of that win, I think Prodigy Dial is a little bit interesting. He does complete the try at 23-1. Bluefeld, who was the 4-5 favorite, the 7 was disappointing 5th in here, but a nice win by Apple Picker for Brittany and Michael Dove.
Yeah, that's a good pickup, by the way, on Prodigy Dog. You know, I had talked with Phil Schoenthal, the trainer, about this horse, and, you know, when they brought her back in December, he basically said, that's on me. That horse was short. She wasn't ready for that. I thought she was, and she wasn't, so that's on me. Then she came back and flashed an allowance field and didn't get a good buyer, but that buyer might be light for that race. You know, she dominated that race at the 3 other than field. Probably should get higher than a 71, and then kind of validated that this was a little bit better effort by rallying in the third. You know, Apple Picker, interesting thing about her, I was talking to Brittany afterwards, you know, you get a lot of chances to talk to Brittany if you cover Maryland racing, because she finds her way to the winner circle a lot, and you rarely get 5-1 as you did here, but this race has been, this race became their target race in September when she won the weather vane at Pimlico. So they've really been pointing here ever since. And so, you know, obviously they're very gratified to get here and then have to run like that. I thought it was a really good ride by Sheldon. And it really benefited. I don't really, I thought Disco Evo would be loose here, you know, maybe the lights are too clear. I don't know why they sent Beneath the Stars quite so aggressively. The press her all the way. Beneath the Stars ends up last. And Disco Evo, I kind of think runs a sneaky good race to hang on the 4th here. But obviously, if you're Brittany and Sheldon, you'll certainly be happy to pick up those pieces.
And that, when you're looking for a horse in a pace scenario, and all of a sudden some horse comes up and really challenges. Now, Beneath the Stars was only 13-1, but a lot of times you see the horse come up on the outside and challenge the horse. You think, oh, this is going to go out there, nice easy lead. And you look up and you've got some 50-1 section. And you turn on, and then they finish last like that. Luckily, I'm not in the Jocksville after that.
I totally hear you, because I was on Disco Evo in this spot. I thought there's a little value there. Didn't really want Bluefield, and so I thought, yeah, you know, she'll get out, she'll control, and she won't come back. And then all of a sudden, I mean, they went 22.83 for the opening quarter. That's a full second faster than the General George went for the opening quarter. So they were cooking for those early fractions, and so I think Disco Evo actually sneaky good effort, one to watch next time out if she turns up, which I suspect she will in a spot where she really fits.
And always interesting here, I like the nuts and bolts, because they had this race in mind going back that far, going back, 4 races, they were already looking for that, and when it all works out, that's very good. Good for them. Also on the card yesterday, the Nellie Morse, the mile and 16th, we're going to watch the stretch run here. It'll be number 3, Charming Way for Jamie Ness. And when we talked yesterday, this was certainly one of the players. Again, I thought there was another one I found interesting. New Hire at 20-1 coming off a win at Penn National. I said, that might be an interesting long shot. Well, once again, my long shot completes the try, but the betting public was a little craftier here. Went down to 6-1, so it wasn't quite as lucrative as the long shot in that follow-up race. But Charming Way gets it done for Jamie Ness. 2-1 is the second choice. Hybrid Eclipse, the number 7 horse, went off at 6-5. No surprise, Brittany Russell coming in with some nice stage performances. The Brittany Russell runner in this one disappoints her a little bit at 6-5, running 4th. But as I say, the Jamie Ness runner gets it done. Charming Way in the Nellie Morse.
Yeah, this is a mare. She's by Blofeld. She's another Maryland race, and she has always shown some talent. You know, she I remember her debut. I think she ran second and ran really well, and took her a couple more starts to graduate, and then, won the Maryland Bridal Round. But he'd always shown a little bit of talent, but hadn't quite gone on. And then Jamie Ness claimed the horse about 4 or 5 races ago, and all she's been doing since is running good races. And comes in here, just gets a dream trip. You've got hashtag Lucky who leads for a half mile and pretty much completely stops, and Charming just goes on and wins easily. It's a nice effort. I'm curious to see where they're going to spot her next. I mean, there's not a great field here. I mean, Hybrid Eclipse is a favorite. She's fine, but, she's not nothing too special. And so it'd be interesting to see where they go with her. But clearly, Ness is getting a lot out of her now. She's really kind of delivering on the promise she showed as a young horse.
Yeah, clever claim well, since the 20, well, this is the 4th win with a set 5 starts, 4 wins, and a second place finish. Clever claim with the undertaking.
Yeah, no, they're doing really well. And, I think her prior connections, Madison Myers, they gave the horse a little bit of time off from, late May to late July, which I think helped her, and then they put her in a spot. I suspect they were trying to see if they could maybe steal a March, win a race, and keep the horse, and they didn't. But she won that day, and so she's now won 5 out of the last 6, and won second the other time. So she's really coming around now. And, we were talking about Brittany always being in the winner's circle. Jamie Ness and Jamie Rodriguez also always in the winner's circle now.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see where they go next with this one as a Maryland bred. So we'll keep our eyes on Charming Way. And finally, the John Campbell $100,000 mile in 8th. I took a little pop with the veteran in here, Yodelei, who was coming off a win as an 8-year-old. Didn't get it done there. Running last in the field at 8-1. Got the price I wanted, but I didn't get the performance I wanted. It's going to be It's Sizzling Time, getting it done at 11-1. So those folks got their price as well. It's Sizzling Time, the number 6 horse, Double Crown 7 on second at 6-1. And Be Better, the Brittany Russell Rapoli runner at 2-1 runs third. Bob Marco, the 9, is the even money favorite. Disappoints running 4th in here, but it's an upset to kick off the state section. It's Sizzling Time in John Campbell.
Yeah, this race, Bob Marco coming in had looked like, his last few races, he looked like the greatest horse of all time. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but, he was going like a mile on 16th and go like 45-4 and not stop. And so he's been running just crazy good races. It gets him down his level here, and it's not quite stakes company. I was on Double Crown in this spot, and leaving the throw on ground, but I thought, boy, I got the money here. And then Sizzling Time came up to get him. A really clever ride, I thought, from Gene Brasino, who kind of saved ground and flipped through inside. But this ended up being my favorite story of the day, because this was the first stakes win for Trina Valerie Smith. She runs the barn with her husband, Donovan Houghton, who used to be a trainer as well. And this is a horse that they bought this horse at auction for $1,000. And she said they looked at each other and said, what the heck, it's $1,000, let's take a swing. So they buy the horse. This was the horse's 40th career start, first time in stakes company. And, so they've been super patient. The horse debuted for Maiden 25, ran as cheap as $10,000 at one point, but it's been an all non-claiming company for about the last 2 years. And, gradually worked through the allowance conditions, and then had run a big one last out, and then runs another big one here today to win. And talking about her Smith afterwards, she's from Jamaica, she's been here for like 20 years, and she had to look at somebody, and I said to her, you don't look so much excited as you look satisfied when a plan comes together. And she was kind of, well, I'm both, but yeah, this is, we were kind of working towards this, so it's really exciting. So it was really, as much as, you're impressed with the post times of the world and seeing Jamie Ness and Brittany Russell, and I think it's the most fun when the connection like Valerie Smith, who has 4 horses.
That is That is a great story, no question about it. Yeah, you look up at the top of the PPs and see $1,000 paid. Then you look over a little bit to the right, and that was yesterday's first over $250,000. That was a clever auction buy. Yeah, that's a great story. And folks can keep up with all the great stories at the racingbiz.com. Also, check out the website covering action in the Mid-Atlantic. There we go. Thanks, Dan. Putting up, you see the web address there down at the bottom, the racingbiz.com. Check that out. And before we let you go, Frank, I have to ask, we had down a few weeks ago kind of updating us on the Maryland situation overall, then with the law, with the future holds. Any updates there? Any news in the last few weeks?
Nothing, nothing of real consequence. We're kind of waiting on legislation to be introduced, and checked in the last couple of days. But the racetrack operating authority is going to need a bill to be able to do some of the things they want to do, in terms of moving money around and various other stuff. So kind of waiting to see what that looks like. So right now it's kind of status quo, and even talking with people at the Stronic Group, there's a lot of like, I'm not quite sure how this is all going to play. So stay tuned. It's going to be interesting.
It does seem like the whole stay tuned situation. We all have our fingers crossed because Maryland racing has been so important to American racing for Frank, appreciate the visit. We'll talk again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Seth, and good luck today.
Thanks, appreciate it. Frank Vespe, again, check out the racingbiz.com for full coverage of racing in that Mid-Atlantic region. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Matt Dinerman. We'll check in and see how the first season at Oaklawn is going and more on all of that right after this. Stay tuned.
You're clear.
Hey, Matt, good morning. It's Seth from OTB.
Hi, Seth. How are you?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
Excellent. Thanks for taking the time. We're in a commercial right now. Probably have 45 seconds, something like that, before we jump in. You got a couple of races today to look at?
Yeah, I got stuff for you.
What races are you looking at?
Hold on. Well, let me get it out real quick. Hold on. I've worked it too, and I forgot. Hold on, I'll get it for you.
Yes, sir.
So here's my commercial. Let's do, we'll do the 8th race.
Okay.
And then we can do the 6th race.
So let's say 6 or 5. Did you say 6 or 5?
6.
Okay, so race 6 and race 8.
Yes, sir.
So when I key those up, I'll do it in chronological order. I'll start with 6 and 8.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. Looks like we're about ready to come on the break. So here we go.
All right, I'll
Beautiful. All right.
All right, 3, 2, 1, and like.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Happy to be joined now by Matt Dinerman, here in the booth down at Oaklawn, and prior to that out on the West Coast. And we'll get a little background from Matt. Matt, and I would start by apologizing. We were supposed to have you on last week, and people who watched the show. I think we're waiting for you, and I'm putting that on me because when people are in different time zones, I try to make it clear what time we're on. And I did a bad job with that last week, so I'm putting that on me. But I'm happy to have you on this week, and I've been saying, you've been in the back of my mind since the beginning of the meet. I said I want to get Matt on to talk a little bit about season number 1 down in Oaklawn, but I wanted to get into the meet a little bit so you had some experience. But happy to have you this morning. Matt, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Seth. Yeah, I guess we get to build the anticipation for this interview a little bit. everything's going just well, and the meat's been fantastic. I mean, Oaklawn's as great as everybody says it is. We had 31,000 people just yesterday. It was 45 degrees, and there was just a boatload of people. And that was just an average Saturday.
Yeah.
So it was party time in Hot Springs with the ponies. So it's been fantastic. I'm loving it here.
I have had a chance to visit Oaklawn, and I tell it to people all the time, really enjoy it. And just as a handicapper and a better, I love Oaklawn. I always think there's a lot of value there. I love playing. It's one of my favorite tracks all year long. I'll get a little more into Oaklawn in a second, but for folks that maybe aren't familiar, the prior job was on Golden Gate, and folks may have heard you out there. But give us a little background. How did you get into the horse racing game in general, and what pulled you into the announcer's booth?
I grew up in San Diego, California, so just south of Del Mar, actually. So it wasn't too far away from the track, and luckily I was able to grow up at a home track that is so beautiful and prestigious and has top quality racing. But when I was a kid, my dad would take me to the track like a lot of people, and I was immediately just blown away by pretty much everything. The horses, the pageantry, the roar of the crowd as the horses came down the stretch, the excitement during a race, the jockeys, just everything. I was just taken aback, and I wanted to learn more about the game. Eventually, I wanted to work in the game. I started as a hot walker for trainer John Sadler and worked my way up. And eventually, I wanted to do TV. I really enjoyed handicapping races. Once I learned how to read the form from my dad, handicapping, that was something that was very interesting to me and a lot of fun. But I knew that being able to call races was so interesting. As a kid, I was always really asking all sorts of questions about how the announcers and the names and the links in between horses, and it just seemed like a really fun job that you could describe the action, be a good ambassador for the sport, and be able to watch all the races and be on track, which is something I love to do. So all of that had me saying, you know what, let's maybe try this rather oddball job.
And take us through where you've announced so far. As I said, you're at Oaklawn now, you were Golden Gate before. Take us through the career path at this point.
So, right out of college, literally a week or two before I graduated college, I got the job at Emerald Downs at Auburn Lodge calling races. I was practicing calling races on the roof at Santa Anita and in the press box at Del Mar, where I worked for a couple of years up there with the writers and the media team and the frontside staff at Del Mar. I received the job at Emerald after a live audition. I was scared out of my mind to do it, but it was time, and I got it done. And they hired me to an astonishment of not only myself, but a lot of industry people. I think hiring somebody with as little experience on a mic as I had. So I was able to do that for 2.5 years at Emerald, which is a wonderful place to be in the spring and summer. Auburn, Washington. Called at Golden Gate Field for 6 years. I was there 7. The first year I did the paddock, handicapped on air, and then I graduated to the announcer's booth. Literally moved up to the roof for 6 years, and you know, in Golden Gate Field, they, of course, are closing in June, and once that was announced, the Oaklawn position was still available at the time, so I went ahead and applied for the job, signed myself up to at least be on the list of candidates, and here we are. Just a big blessing and just a lovely thing. I'm very, very lucky to be here, and really, I'm lucky this whole career that I've had. I'm just 31 years old, you know, and I've done a lot for my age, so I'm very proud, but also very lucky, and there have been a lot of people that have helped me along the way. So I've been very, very, very blessed and lucky.
Yeah, that's a great story. And, you know, I've heard similar stories. Travis Stone had the tape recorder up on the roof at Saratoga. So he gets up on the roof of practicing announcing is the step one on the career path for folks who maybe want to be a track announcer. But that is amazing that fresh out of college, you step into the booth at a racetrack. And the track I would love to visit, Emerald Downs. Obviously, it's on the other side of the country from me, but I'd love to visit that. And you mentioned Golden Gate, and I just want to get your feelings a little bit, because I'm a guy, it's on the other side of the country. I don't play Golden Gate all the time, but I have to admit, last week when I was reading the articles that said the last El Camino Real Derby, I was like, because you said it at the top, you said, how'd you get into the game? Your dad brought you to the track. I weekend. So it's always sad when racetracks go to the sideline.
It absolutely is. And in order to grow the game, you need to have racetracks around, and you need to be showing young people or just anybody really that are new prospects to this game, new customers. You need to grow the game by showing them the racetrack. I always think it's pretty hard to really get a long-term customer just on television. Maybe in the long term you can play races and be at home if you want. You don't go on track off. At least to get people hooked to the game, you got to bring them to the races. So there's that, but also just the fact that when you're closing a racetrack, sometimes I think it's forgotten just how many lives are affected. I mean, there have been people that have been in Northern California racing for decades and that really care about that track and put their heart and soul into it. And like I said, I was there for 6-7 years, and I went through the stages of loss myself because of just putting so much hard work and effort into that community and knowing that the track is going away. It's a very tough thing. It's very difficult.
Yeah, and that was, for years been one of the important circuits in American racing. Northern California, Bay Meadow disappeared on Golden Gate. Hopefully they can get something together with maybe some of these fair circuits, but certainly rooting for them. But it's sad to see that announcement of Golden Gate, as I say, last week, the last El Camino in Alberta. But let's talk a little happier circumstance. You've already alluded to it. And I said a few years ago, I have a sister who lives up in Fayetteville. So some years back, I was driving to Florida. I stopped to visit my sister in Fayetteville, and on the way to Florida, I spent a day down at Oaklawn. And as a guy up here, we're located up near Saratoga and broadcast from the backstretch for the entire week, so we're tied into Saratoga, certainly. And Hot Springs to me is very similar. There's a very similar history, but as you kind of alluded to, and one of the fun things about Saratoga is you go out to dinner at night, and people at the next table are talking about the double that hit that day and the horse they're looking at tomorrow. And so the whole town is into it. And I think Hot Springs is very much the same. Talk a little bit about your experience. Have you ever been to Hot Springs before? But just talk a little bit about the town and the Oaklawn experience.
I have only been to the state of Arkansas for the job interview for this job. So that was the only time I had been to Oaklawn before actually taking the next step to, yes, I have refused the job and I'm going to live here for half the year. Oaklawn is very much like Saratoga in that respect. There's racing on TV, the town loves racing, people know how to read the form, they know how to handicap, they're constantly talking about the races. I remember I went and spoke at a Rotary Club, and the head of the Rotary Club was telling me about his pick 4 that he played the day before. It was on a Monday. We were talking about the Sunday racing, and that would have never happened in a place like California, honestly. So I was like, holy smokes, this was, after the first, I think it was after the first couple weeks. Even yesterday, I was at dinner with a buddy, and 2 people came up to the table and shook my hand and, said they enjoyed my work, and we talked about the races a little bit. So you go around town, and especially if you're a horse person, if you're a trainer or a jockey or an on-air personality, people know who you are. And it's just great to see that type of excitement and energy in a town. It's almost like a throwback type of town. Hot Springs is a small town. If I compare it to California, for example, it's a lot more simple living. I've come to enjoy it. I like it. I like just relaxing. I'm a big type guy, but it's a place that people really, really enjoy racing, stand up for the racing community, and everybody's on board, essentially. The fans, the local politicians want to make sure that racing is doing well here. They know how much of an economic impact it has, not only in Hot Springs, but in the whole state of Arkansas. So it's very important that racing is doing well here, just like Saratoga and just like Lexington and Louisville and Kentucky.
Yeah, and that all sounds very familiar to me. Going to the Rotary Club and having you guys mention the pick 4 because I played some old man basketball a couple of times a week at the Y and in the middle school up here. And the folks who are playing, they'll meet from the handicapping shows in the afternoon, and they'll talk about, oh, hey, I went that race last weekend or whatnot. And I just don't think other parts of the country you'll get that kind of interaction. But up here at Saratoga, again, it's very similar down there at Oaklawn. I want to talk a little bit nuts and bolts of the job down there, because I pulled up a shot I found on the internet that gives a good look. There are some trees in the infield at Oaklawn, but I get the sense that those are not obstructions. It seems like Oaklawn for a track announcer is probably a good gig. You got a good look at the entire track, correct?
It's a good sight line up there for sure. The hardest part actually is the finish line with the photo finishes, because I am a bit off the line. I'm ahead of the line probably by 10 yards. So that could really cause an issue if given the angle. At Golden Gate, I was right on the line. So I could be pretty bold. I'm pretty good at photo finish calls, I think. So I could be pretty bold with calling close photos at Golden Gate, but Oaklawn, I can't do it. I gotta be much more careful because of the sight line there. But in terms of the trees, yeah, there's no obstruction there. You can see everything just fine. I know at Saratoga, they've got a lot of trees, and that can be very difficult for an announcer there. In this case, Frank Vespe, I'm sure he's experienced it. I know Tom Durkin experienced it. I've talked to Larry Colmus about it, how the trees in Saratoga, sometimes it's hard to see that far turn run. But the sight lines here at Oaklawn are, besides the line where you're a little bit off, it's very, very good. And it's one of the best views in the house.
And the tough to call a photo finish is a great segue, because as I was sitting in doing the afternoon show yesterday, knowing you were coming on, I had to pull up the stretch run to yesterday's sixth race, because you noted it in the call. Cozy, my boy, and it was just an average race, but this is so much fun, and if there was 30,000 in the house, I'm sure it was a great reaction too. Cozy, my boy, if you watch the stretch run, he's going to be behind a wall of horses here. He's there in the red trying to split horses. You can't find room. Goes down to the rail, and he's totally up against it. And as we'll see watching the stretch run here, if he gets up, you make the perfect call. You say, if he gets up, this was just kind of an amazing performance. And sure enough, when the photo finish was developed, Cozy, my boy, got it done. And as they say, just an average race on a Saturday afternoon. But that is fun for the fans, and that kind of performance has to be fun for you as an announcer as well.
Oh, for sure. And when you're calling races, you want exciting things happening. You know, it's harder when there's not as much going on out there. So to be able to describe the action is a lot of fun, and hopefully you can bring some positive energy towards the fans, and that can radiate with them. And the good news is here at Oaklawn, they don't need me to help bring up the vibe. They've got plenty good vibes as it is with all the fans here. But definitely when the photo finish sign was posted, there was oohing and eyeing. When they posted that he had gotten up, there was a giant roar. Probably some groans as well from people who didn't have the horse, but he would be the trick play of the meet so far if he didn't get up and ran back at that condition. Let's put it that way. I mean, he had a horrendous trip.
Yeah,
He still won. Very, very game.
you legged it perfectly. If he wins this, he was much the best. And I noted it on this show yesterday too when we came out of that race. I was like, that was incredible. And watching live, I thought, he got it. And then the slow-mo replay, I thought, I don't think he did. But then when the photo was developed, that was just an absolutely fun race. And just before we get a couple ideas from this afternoon, I wanted to look at another fun race from Oaklawn going back a couple of weeks, the Southwest, and just get your thoughts on Mystic Dan. So on a day where there were a number of 3-year-old races across the country, on the number, this was one of the better performances. Mystic Dan, the 10 McKee runner, will score in the Southwest, the number 10 horse here, as we see, and does it pretty easily and gets a 101.5. Now on the day, Nice Oaks probably was more impressive, and I say that because Nice Oaks had already kind of proven himself, whereas the resume for Mystic Dan wasn't quite as impressive. So I'm going to be really excited to see Mystic Dan and what he can do on the comeback. But this was impressive in the Southwest. What were your impressions?
Well, this horse had gotten a 96 buyer, Mystic Dan, breaking his name out of fast track sprint. So we knew, well, got something in the tank. You can't run like that unless you got some raw talent. And then his first start off a bit of a break. He was rowdy, he had a light work pattern, he dueled in the lead, got a little bit tired in the 20 Jones. So the question going into the Southwest is, well, is this horse able to go longer, or is he just going to be sprinter type? And obviously, he proved the distance wasn't a problem, at least in the mud. But I was very impressed. I thought he got a great trip. At 3/8, I remember calling him in fifth. He was on the rail about 3 lengths behind, and he was going nice and easy. And I remember just thinking, wow, this horse is getting a really good trip. He's good enough. He could win this race. And I think he was right. And sure enough, he was, and he came right up the rail. But the way he finished, it was very much reminiscent of Mine That Bird when he won the Derby. Just came right up the rail in the slop and drew off, and basically won going away and was wrapped up at the end. That's what it looked like. Very much a carbon copy of that type of trip and that type of run in the final quarter mile. I was very impressed with it. Obviously, you have to wonder, is this horse able to duplicate these great performances? I mean, if he can run like that, he's going to have no problem in Grade 1 company, against some of the better horses in the division. But that's the question mark, and hopefully we get a fast track in Arkansas Derby Day to see that. The Rebel entries are being taken today. We're expecting anywhere, I would say, from 10 to 14 horses to very next, and he will not be running. 3-week turnaround, he's going to train into the Arkansas Derby, which is very watchful move. So I was impressed with the run, but the question is, can he put back-to-back together? I think he could probably run good races on a fast track. We saw it at Churchill Downs, but that was sprinting. So there's some questions there, but he's got some quality, obviously.
I will say, as you were talking, I was just looking it up because I had it on my computer. On the future pool, he's sitting at this weekend future pool, he's sitting 27-1. I would take the top of that.
Especially when nice horses are running in the Kentucky Derby. Now it's a lot more wide open in that. 27-1 is a steal, especially if he comes back and runs well at the Arkansas Derby. Then you're going to be pretty happy camper at it.
Yeah, I always say I'm looking in these future pools, I'm looking for about 30-1, and we're in that neighborhood, so I'm going to take a look at that one before the afternoon. All right, Matt, before we let you go, I asked you to take, I did take a look at a couple races, and you said you like handicapping, you like doing the TV side of things. And I pulled up I did a screen cap last week because you sit in and do the pregame show down at Oaklawn with Crystal Conning and our friend Nancy Holtness. And I pulled up the shot from last week, and I'm sitting in here doing the afternoon handicapping show, and on my monitor up on the wall, I have a quad screen of 4 tracks, and Oaklawn was one of them, but I didn't have the sound. And I looked up, and I thought it was Obi-Wan Kenobi Day. You guys were all there in the row, but we have this still shot here, and I had to pull up the sound. And as it turns out, I guess your spa down there, the casino spa, got some kind of award. So they're spa rolls. But I literally thought, oh, this is like a Star Wars script. But you only do Saturdays on the pregame show, correct?
I'm on Saturday, yes, and then Nancy and Crystal have the feast Friday and Sunday with one another. But Monday, tomorrow, we've got special live racing, and I'll be doing every other day I'm on. So when we go to 4 days a week, I'll do Thursday and Saturday as well.
Nice. You do a good job. Like I said, I'm in here and I'm watching a lot of the pregame shows from the various tracks, and I enjoy the work you guys do down at Oaklawn. But let's let you fire up a couple for today. 6 races this afternoon. $100,000 maiden claimer. Let's see if anybody gets picked out of this one. Mile and the 16th, the trip. I handicapped for Oaklawn for this afternoon as well for our handicapping show. I took a little shot with PJ Song at 20-1. Lacey Schultz, an up-and-coming trainer I've been talking about here for maybe a month and a half or a couple of months. Practical joke, an interesting win early sire. So I had the 5 on top. I thought the 9, the 7, the 2 were interesting. What did you see in race number 6 today?
Well, I'm going to give you a 2 picks today, as you know, Seth, and the viewers and listeners. But I'm giving you both prices. I don't want to come on here and give you shots. I want to give you some value. And I like that you're going with a long shot, PJ Strong. I'm going with a price not nearly as high, but Brilliant Man, number 8 in this race, who's been running in the Kentucky circuit. Takes 2 months off, moves from the barn of Eric Reed to trainer Chris Parsons, and Chris does fantastic when he takes horses and is able to improve many of them. In fact, the numbers indicate that he's 26% from a 77 horse sample. First start for his barn when a horse moves to him. Coming out of the special weight turf where it was synthetic, didn't do much with a price. He also was on synthetic, but the two best games not for me, the $100,000 raise. These horses are quite a bit of a drop off from our special horses here. So this sort of play is more like a 850 claimer than it does a mean 100 claimer. And that's why I picked Brilliant Man on the barn split, being that this horse can run to his very best, and he's facing a field that isn't quite as strong as he has late.
Well, now I'm going to have to toss into these at the box. I had some check marks, and I like Chris Hartman's work down there. So I did have a couple of notes next to that with Oaklawn, just because if my 20-1 comes in with your 8-1, I don't want to be sitting on the sideline. So I'll toss that one. Eighth race this afternoon, allowance not winners of one other than 1 mile of the trip. I went with Bow Draw on the outside. I thought the last race on the move to return to Oaklawn in a similar race was okay. I don't have super confidence there. Malibu Smart's interesting. Xylophone for me. At the 11, also I thought Queen Mischief could be a player for Asmussen, but does have to overcome that outside post position. What did you see in the 8th?
Yeah, this is our feature race today, an allowance race. I'm taking a price here as well. I think there's a lot of speed in this race. So I'm going to go with a price, a runner that the last time we saw her out in Q1 was on the turf in Indiana. Little Sister Q number 2. Now, her 2 back efforts sprinting at this level, she ran a really good race. For second, got a good speed figure, came back, ran poorly. But the thing is, she came back in just about 3 weeks, and she bounced big time last time out, big time bounce. So she freshens up after that run, gets to the route game here. Yes, it says she goes for 1 at the distance, but that's on dirt. Again, she won routing on the grass, and there's a lot of pace in here. I think this race could set up for very much an off-the-pace horse. You look at her last 2 races, she's been off the pace in sprints, very much off the pace. In route races, she can be at least a little closer, 2, 3, 4 lengths behind. So Little Sister 2 for me is going to be the pick number 2. But Gennaro Garcia, who, by the way, is a very PG trainer, and he pops at prices. And I think this one could be one of his price horses here. Race it.
I like it. Matt, appreciate the visit. Appreciate you taking the time and talking a little bit about the inaugural season down at Oaklawn. Again, we're watching in the afternoon. You're doing a great job down there. But as I say, appreciate the visit. Keep up the good work. Say hi to Nancy for us a little bit later today. We will talk again in the future.
Thanks so much for having me, Seth. Have a great rest of your day.
Appreciate it. Matt Dinerman from the announcement booth down at Oaklawn. Again, doing a great job season 1 down there. Also, a little bit earlier, Fran Vespe covering some of that stakes action yesterday at Laurel, and our recap of a really nice day. There are some horses certainly to watch going forward. We'll have to decide next race for some of those Fair Grounds horses because of the track condition yesterday, but track condition or no, we saw some performances of the play going forward. The Chad Brown line certainly should really know. And I thought intricate again, the second place finish off the layoff. I know Brendan Wall, so he's okay going on to the field because Philippe obviously is good. All right, I am going to wrap it up for this edition of Racing Across America. I do want to remind you once again, mandatory pay in the pick 6 out of Golden Gate today. So if you're a pick 6 player, you might want to take a look at that. Kentucky Derby Future Pool will wrap up at 6 o'clock. And again, if you go down the list, I mentioned Rich McMahon, who looks a little bit interesting, but there are plenty of others who play as well. And at 5-1, we will see, because all others tend to get hit late. So I'm tending to think that 5-1 is going to wind up to be a little bit generous by the time 6 o'clock rolls around on all others. But, as you get later on the calendar, all others is less attractive, particularly now with the 39 individual entrants as opposed to going back a couple of years where there was a much smaller pool of players. But I still think particularly in this day and age where a lot of horses are getting later starts, I still think to pick up all others here in the middle towards the end of February, you're going to wind up with some starters in the starting gate. That will have some ability, obviously, to get into the gate and not have gone this long this week including. But the Easter pool closes at 6 o'clock today, keep that in mind. And again, a little bit later on, Sunland Park will have the Sunland Derby, the Sunland Oaks. They have some other stakes on the undercard as well, but there are some interesting runners in both the Sunland Oaks and certainly the Sunland Derby coming up again, as I said, a little bit later on today from Sunland Park. I will be back a little bit later on, probably about an hour or so, with OTV Live for a Sunday afternoon. Just looking, our post time at Aqueduct is 12:50 with 12:10 at Gulfstream. That may mean before the first race of Gulfstream, we may be showing the pregame from Aqueduct, so I might not jump in until a little bit later after the Gulfstream card is started. But about an hour or so we'll be back for OTV Live for Sunday afternoon. And as noted, I also handicapped Oaklawn for this afternoon. So it's going to be a fun Sunday. And Matt mentioned it as well. But I'll remind you that tomorrow, of course, is President's Day. New York racing in the mix, Oaklawn in the mix tomorrow. So some of the tracks you would normally see on a Monday will be fired up and rolling for tomorrow. Keep that in mind. Otherwise, Seth Merrow for Racing Across America on this Sunday morning. Thanks for joining us. And again, back in a little bit more than probably an hour or so for OTV Live for Sunday afternoon. So, we'll see you after.
You're clear.
We'd like to thank Gulfstream Park for their sponsorship of this program and some of the other programming events here at Capital OTV. Gulfstream Park, the championship meet, running now through Florida Derby weekend, March 31st.
You're watching OTV, a service of Capital Object.